There was an interesting showing of brotherly love when Carlton faced Geelong in round 15. To most people's surprise, Sam de Koning, normally a key defender, lined up at the first centre bounce against his brother Tom de Koning. The older and more experienced ruck in Tom dominated the match and recorded the highest rated game of any player this season. His 25 disposals, 20 of them contested, 34 hitouts, 7 clearances and a goal were telling in Carlton's big win. Now Sam's numbers on their own were still solid, but his older brother clearly got the spoils, and throughout the game the two got quite physical, pushing and shoving each other, but still with a bit of a smile on their faces as their teammates watched on. Their meeting follows on from Ben and Harry Mckay's. It's finally confirmed they aren't the same person, as the two also lined up on each other at the opening bounce of their round 13 meeting. There wasn't nearly as much physicality between the two compared to the de Koning brothers. In the game itself, Harry kicked a goal and had 8 disposals, while Ben had 6 disposals himself and did a pretty good job on his brother, although Carlton did win the game by 26 points. The build-up for both of these matchups did focus a lot on siblings versing each other, but over history, some of the better 1-2 punches in AFL teams have been with brothers playing together. Perhaps one of the best combinations is developing right in front of us.
Not so much in the spirit of the game, I just know players ducking their head.
Josh Dacos, Nick Dacos from the pocket. What a star this young man is! Brother to brother through the middle.
You can't go past the Dacos boys. Both were named All-Australian last season, the first time since 2007 that brothers have made the final 22. All the talk and hype focuses on Nick, and for good reason. If he didn't go down with that knee injury near the end of the season, he would have likely walked away with a Brownlow in just his second year. But don't look past Josh. His past 3 seasons have him as a top 3 pure winger in the competition, and he's just as creative and weavy as his younger brother. Now Nick's absence did help, but Josh actually won the best and fairest last year. It's fantastic recognition to have, especially in a premiership season. So right now, is it possible they are on track to become the best brother duo we have ever seen? Nick is just 21 and Josh is still only 25. There is a lot of football both will be playing together. Combined in 2023 alone, they had 22 games with at least 20 disposals and a goal. Some of their highlight games together in 2023 include round 2 against Port Adelaide, when Nick had 32 and 2 goals and Josh had 26 and 2 goals. Round 11 against North Melbourne, Josh had 18 and 3 goals, when Nick had 32 and 1 goal. And in round 17 against the Bulldogs, Nick was best on ground with 29 disposals and 2 goals, getting another 24 touches and a goal from his brother Josh. It's hard to think of another set of brothers combining and having so much influence on games. It's carried on this season, and their chemistry has been a big reason why Collingwood are a formidable team. Now that All-Australian pairing of brothers in 2007 was Kane and Chad Corns. Kane has become one of the biggest names in the AFL media industry, whether you like him or not. Sure, he has partly built his career due to saying controversial things and having strong opinions, but he's still in a job, so he must be doing something right. His older brother in Chad is still at Port Adelaide and is functioning as the forwards coach. Because of the career avenues of both, it is forgotten how important they were to Port Adelaide in the 2000s. Kane started off in defence, eventually evolving to a midfield role where he would often curtail the influence of the opposition's best player, but he still won plenty of the ball himself, with 10 of his seasons resulting in a disposal average over 22. He was All-Australian in 2005 as well, and won 4 best and fairest. Chad was a strong utility who began as a key forward, becoming a star centre half back in 2004. He was All-Australian that season, polled 22 Brownlow votes, and kept Jonathan Brown very quiet in the grand final. Just like the Dacos boys, Chad and Kane were part of the 2004 premiership success, with Kane coming third in the Norm Smith voting at just 21 and keeping Simon Black quiet in the big game. Chad joined Kane in the midfield in 2007, the year where both of them were named in the same All-Australian side, helping the club get to another grand final. Now the record-breaking loss was an ugly day in Port Adelaide's history, but the Corns brothers were the Power's best players. That 04 Premiership side also had another pairing of brothers, with Peter and Sean Burgoyne also a feature in the team. Out of 752 total AFL games, one stands out far more than the rest for the Danaher family. In round 22 of 1990, Chris Danaher and Neil Danaher came into the team to play St Kilda at Moorabbin Oval. With the two brothers coming in, it meant all four would line up for the Bombers on the same day.
One of those quirky little moves that Kevin Sheedy delights in, the Bombers made history in round 22 of 1990. The newspapers of the day announced Essendon's 4 Danaher brothers would line up against St Kilda, all in key positions and all together in the one AFL side for the first and only time. There would be fullback Anthony in game 182, dual premiership captain Terry at centre-half forward in game 288, 24-year-old Chris in the centre in game 10, and at full forward, the bloke Sheedy reckons could have been the best of them all, the injury-plagued Neil in his 82nd.
After a tight battle up until half-time, the quality of the top-of-the-table Bombers would take over. They beat St Kilda by 35 points with the help of a 7-goal last quarter. Each of the brothers played their role and had good days. Neil kicked 3 goals for, Terry had 15 disposals and a goal, Chris had 24 touches on ball to go alongside Anthony, who led the way with 27 disposals. The Bombers made that season's grand final against Collingwood, but sadly, not all of the brothers would make it. It was Neil that would miss out. After a long layoff for Essendon during that final series, due to Collingwood and West Coast drawing in the qualifying final, it complicated things. Without playing a game in so long, Sheedy didn't want to throw in Neil when he may not have been physically up to it. Essendon would end up losing the grand final by 48 points. Neil didn't play another AFL game after that St Kilda one with his 3 other brothers. Anthony played until 1994, Chris managed 124 games, finishing up in 1997, and Terry played a couple more seasons, being the standout player of the 4. It's unlikely we will ever see what the 4 brothers achieved in 1990 ever again, and with Neil going on to do great things with Freeze MND while fighting motor neuron disease at the same time, it shows the effect the entire family has had on the football world.